If the sky no longer has birds, how will we live? The words echo across a dusty Texas plain as Clara, a young white woman, grips her horse's reins tight. Her eyes lock on the horizon where smoke curls up from a burning Comanche village. The wind howls around her, carrying the faint sound of screams and hoofbeats. She's alone, heart pounding, caught in a moment she never saw coming. Clara didn't know it yet, but that one question would turn her world upside down. Could a stranger like her find a real home in a place torn apart by fire and hate? Stick around to find out. It's 1870, and we're standing on the wide open plains of Texas. The sun beats down on endless grasslands that stretch as far as the eye can see. In the distance, you spot settler wagons creaking along, loaded with dreams of a new life. But look closer, and you'll see Comanche riders on horseback, swift and silent, moving like shadows across the land. This is a place where two worlds clash. White settlers and the Comanche tribe are locked in a bitter fight over this soil. Every inch of dirt is a battleground, and peace? It's hanging by a thread, ready to snap at any moment. Here are the people caught in this storm. First, there's Clara Evans. She's 20 years old, with fire in her spirit and questions in her eyes. As the daughter of a wealthy settler named James Evans, she has everything money can buy, yet she's restless. Clara is bold and curious, always dreaming of freedom, but she feels trapped in her father's world, like a bird in a cage. Then there's Kwevadis, a 30-year-old Comanche leader. He's calm and wise, with a quiet strength that draws people to him. Life hasn't been kind to Kwevadis. He lost his family to settler raids, and those scars run deep. For him, nothing matters more than protecting his people. Finally, there's James Evans, Clara's father. He's a hard man, stubborn as stone, convinced the Comanche must be crushed for progress to take hold. He sees this land as his to claim, no matter the cost. Clara's life was about to collide with a world she'd been taught to fear. Two sides, two dreams, and one big question. Who's really right in this fight? Let's find out together. It's a hot afternoon on the Texas plains, and trouble is brewing. James Evans, Clara's father, has had enough of waiting. He gathers a group of settlers, their rifles gleaming in the sun, and leads them straight into Comanche territory. Their target? A small Comanche hunting party moving quietly through the tall grass. The settlers strike fast and hard. Shots ring out, horses scream, and dust flies as several Comanche warriors fall, their blood soaking the earth. James stands tall, wiping sweat from his brow, thinking he's won a victory. But not far away, Clara is out riding her horse, enjoying a rare moment of freedom. She hears the gunfire and rides closer, curious and unafraid, until she sees it all, the bodies, the chaos, her father's men cheering over the dead. Her stomach twists. Before she can turn back, a sharp Comanche whistle cuts through the air. She's been spotted. Out of the grass come Kwevadis and his warriors, their faces painted with fury and grief. Clara's horse bolts, and she's off, racing across the plains with the wind whipping her hair. Her heart pounds as hooves thunder behind her. She's fast, but they're faster. Kwevadis leads the chase, his eyes locked on her like a hawk on prey. After a wild ride, they surround her. She pulls her reins hard, breathless as the warriors close in. One grabs her arm, and she's yanked from the saddle, hitting the ground with a thud. She scrambles to her feet, fists clenched, ready to fight. Kwevadis steps forward, his presence calm but commanding. He raises a hand to stop his men, then looks at Clara. She's sure this is the end, that they'll kill her right there. But instead, he says something that freezes her in her tracks. "You think we're your enemy. I'll show you we're human too." Her jaw drops. What does that even mean? They don't hurt her, not yet. Instead, they tie her wrists with a loose rope, just tight enough to keep her from running. Kwevadis nods, and they're moving again, forcing her to ride with them. Her horse stumbles under her, but she holds on, her mind racing. She's terrified, her palms sweaty, expecting a knife in her back any second. Yet there's something else bubbling up inside her. Defiance. She glares at Kwevadis' back as he rides ahead, refusing to let him see her fear. Every step takes her deeper into the unknown, away from her father's world and into theirs. The plains stretch out endlessly around her, wild and untamed, and she wonders if she'll ever see home again. But home feels farther away with every mile, and something tells her this journey is just beginning. After hours of riding, the group slows down and stops at a hidden camp tucked behind a low hill. Clara's eyes widen as she takes it in. This isn't what she expected. Women sit in a circle, weaving baskets from dried grass, their hands moving with quiet skill. Children chase each other, laughing as they dart between the horses, their voices bright against the heavy air. And then there are the warriors, some sitting alone, heads bowed, mourning the friends they lost in her father's raid. Clara watches a young man carve a small wooden figure, his face tight with sorrow. It hits her. These people aren't just fighters. They're families, just like hers, only different. Kwevadis walks over and sits across from her, his dark eyes steady. He speaks again, his voice low but clear. The earth isn't ours. We borrow it from our children. Clara scoffs, rolling her eyes. Borrow it? That sounds like nonsense to her. She's grown up hearing the land is there to be taken, to be owned. But Kwevadis doesn't argue. He just looks at her, waiting, like he knows she'll think about it later. And deep down, she does. His words stick in her mind, even as she turns away, pretending not to care. This camp, these people, they're not what she was taught to expect. And that's the scariest part of all. The sun climbs higher in the sky as Clara's strange journey takes a new turn. Kwevadis decides she's not just a hostage anymore. He wants her to see something, to understand the Comanche way of life. So they set out together, riding across the vast Texas plains. The wind tugs at Clara's hair as her horse trots beside Kwevadis's, his warriors trailing behind, watching her every move. At first, she keeps her head down, still angry, still scared, but curious too. They ride for hours, the land unfolding around them like a story she's never heard. Kwevadis points to a wide, empty trail cutting through the grass. This used to be full of buffalo, he says, his voice steady but heavy. Herds so big, they shook the ground. Clara looks around, seeing nothing but silence now. No hoof prints, no dust, just stillness. He slows his horse and nods toward a cluster of small mounds, each marked with a simple stone. Those are graves, he tells her. Our children. They died from diseases your people brought. No buffalo, no food, now they're gone. His words hit her like a punch. She feels a twist in her chest, a creeping guilt she can't shake. All her life, she's heard her father talk about progress, about taming the land. But here, staring at those tiny graves, she wonders what that progress really cost. They keep moving, the days blending together as Kwevadis shows her more. He doesn't lecture her, doesn't yell, he just lets the land speak. And slowly, Clara starts to listen. One evening, they stop by a dry creek bed, the air cooling as the sun dips low. Kwevadis hands her a piece of flint and a steel striker. Make a fire, he says, stepping back. Clara fumbles at first, her hands clumsy, sparks flying, but fading fast. She grits her teeth, frustrated, until he kneels beside her. Don't force it, he says. Feel the rhythm. She tries again, slower this time, and a small flame flickers to life. Her eyes light up with pride, and for the first time, she doesn't feel like a prisoner. Later, she learns to ride better, matching her horse's stride instead of fighting it. Her legs ache, but she keeps going, determined to prove she can keep up. Then comes a moment she won't forget. A young Comanche boy stumbles into camp, his arm bleeding from a fall. The warriors are busy, so Clara steps in. She rips a strip from her skirt, cleans the wound with water from a canteen, and wraps it tight. The boy looks up at her, shy but grateful, and she feels something warm inside. She turns to Kwevadis, who's watching quietly. "Why teach me all this?" she asks, her voice soft but firm. He meets her gaze and says, "Because truth isn't spoken. It's seen." She nods, not fully understanding yet, but feeling the weight of his words settle in her bones. As the nights pass, Clara finds herself changing. One evening, the group gathers around a crackling campfire, the flames dancing under a sky full of stars. An older Comanche woman sits beside her, her voice low and melodic as she tells a story. "Long ago," she says, "our ancestors followed the stars. They guided us to water, to food, to each other. The sky is our map, our family." Clara listens, her eyes tracing the bright dots above. She's never thought of the stars like that, as something alive, something wise. Back home, they were just lights, pretty but meaningless. Here, they feel different, like they're watching her too. She glances at Kwevadis across the fire, his face calm as he listens. For the first time, she doesn't see him as her captor. She sees a man who's lost so much but still carries on. And then it hits her, sharp and clear. Her father's wealth, the big house, the fancy clothes, it all came from this land, from pushing people like Kwevadis aside. She thinks about the buffalo, the graves, the boy she helped. Her resentment toward Kwevadis starts to fade, replaced by something new, something she can't name yet. She pulls her blanket tighter around her shoulders and stares into the fire. The plains have been teaching her, and she's finally starting to hear their voice. This isn't just a journey across the land, it's a journey inside herself, and there's no turning back now. The air feels heavier now, like a storm's about to break. Clara's been with the Comanche for days, maybe weeks, and she's starting to feel a strange pull toward them. But that fragile peace is about to shatter. One afternoon, a young Comanche scout rides into camp, his horse lathered with sweat, his eyes wide with urgency. He leaps down and speaks fast to Kwevadis in their language, words Clara can't catch. The mood shifts instantly. Warriors grab their bows, sharpen their knives, and check their rifles. Kwevadis turns to Clara, his face hard as stone. "Your father's coming," he says. "He's gathering men, a big group, to rescue you and burn our village to the ground." Clara's heart sinks. She pictures James, his stern jaw set, rallying settlers with promises of victory. She knows he won't stop, not until he gets her back or wipes out every Comanche in his path. Kwevadis steps closer, his voice low and fierce. "He wants war. We'll give him one." He turns away, barking orders to his men, and the camp buzzes with grim purpose. Clara stands frozen, her mind spinning. Her father's coming for her, but these people, the ones she's laughed with, learned from, they're in danger because of him. What can she do? The next hours pass in a blur. The Comanche move fast, packing up the camp and riding hard to their main village, a cluster of lodges nestled between rolling hills. Clara rides with them, her wrists still loosely tied, but no one's watching her now. They're too focused on what's coming. Night falls and the village prepares. Warriors paint their faces with red and black, their eyes sharp with resolve. Women gather the children, whispering prayers to the wind. Kwevadis moves among them, calm but commanding, his presence steadying everyone. Clara watches from the edge of a lodge, her stomach in knots. She doesn't want this fight, but it's barreling toward them like a runaway train. Just before dawn, the silence breaks. A distant shout, then the thunder of hooves. James and his men charge in, a wave of settlers armed with rifles and torches. The attack hits like lightning. Arrows whistle through the air as Comanche warriors leap to defend their home. Guns roar, spitting fire and smoke. Lodges catch ablaze, flames licking up into the gray sky. Screams echo, horses rear, and chaos swallows everything. Clara's heart pounds as she tugs at her ropes, desperation fueling her. The knots give way, and she's free. She doesn't think, just runs, straight into the madness, her eyes darting between the settlers she's known all her life and the Comanche she's come to care for. The battle rages around her. She ducks as an arrow flies past, then stumbles over a fallen warrior, his blood staining her hands. Smoke stings her eyes, but she keeps moving, torn in two directions. She spots her father near the center of the village, his coat dusty, his rifle raised, shouting orders to his men. Across from him stands Kwevadis, his knife flashing as he cuts through the attackers, his face a mask of fury. Their paths collide, and suddenly it's just the two of them. Kwevadis moves like a shadow, dodging a bullet and tackling James to the ground. The rifle clatters away, and Kwevadis pins him, his blade pressed to James's throat. James struggles, his face red with rage, and yells, "They're animals!" His voice cuts through the noise, sharp and hateful. Clara's breath catches. She can't stand still anymore. She runs forward, shoving herself between them, her hands shaking but her voice loud. "No, you're wrong," she shouts at her father. "They're my family now." James stares at her, stunned, his eyes wide with disbelief. Kwevadis freezes, the knife still hovering, his chest heaving. Clara turns to him, her words spilling out fast. "Please, don't do this. Killing him won't heal anything." She locks eyes with Kwevadis, pleading, her voice cracking. "It won't bring your family back. It won't stop the pain." For a long moment, no one moves. The sounds of battle fade to a dull roar around them. James glares up, helpless but defiant. Kwevadis's grip tightens on the knife, then slowly loosens. Clara holds her breath, waiting, knowing this moment will change everything. The dust settles over the Comanche village, thick with smoke and silence. Kwevadis stands over James, his knife still pressed close, the weight of years of pain in his eyes. Clara's words hang in the air, soft but steady. "Killing won't heal this." For a heartbeat, it feels like time stops. The flames crackle nearby, the cries of the wounded fade, and all that's left is this moment. Kwevadis takes a slow breath, his jaw tight, then lowers his blade. He pulls back, letting James slump to the ground, gasping. "Go," Kwevadis says, his voice low and final. "Never come back." James scrambles to his feet, his face twisted with anger and shame. He wipes blood from his lip, glaring at Clara, then at Kwevadis. "This isn't over," he spits, his voice hoarse but venomous. He staggers off, calling his men to retreat. The settlers stumble away, their numbers thin, their torches dropped in the dirt. The village stands, battered and scarred, with the lodges half burned and families clinging to each other. But it stands. Clara watches her father disappear into the dawn, a hollow ache in her chest. She could follow him, go back to the life she knew, the big house, the safety. But her feet don't move. She turns to the Comanche, to the people she's fought beside, and knows she's not leaving. This isn't about Kwevadis. It's about the life she's found here, raw and real under this wide, wild sky. The sun climbs higher, casting golden light over the wreckage. The Comanche begin to rebuild, their hands steady despite the exhaustion. Clara joins them, no hesitation now. She helps an older woman lift a fallen beam, her arms trembling but strong. Nearby, warriors patch up walls, their faces lined with grief, but not defeat. Kwevadis walks over, his steps slow, his eyes meeting hers. He doesn't say much at first, just watches her work. Then he speaks, his voice quiet but clear. "You've learned what many forget. A heart is stronger than a blade." Clara pauses, letting his words sink in. She thinks about the graves she saw, the stories she heard, the boy she bandaged. She nods, a small smile breaking through. "I didn't know that before. she says softly. "But I do now." Kwevadis gives her a look, not quite a smile, but something close, something warm. Around them, the village comes back to life. Children run past, their laughter cutting through the heavy air. Clara kneels beside a little girl, helping her stack stones for a new fire pit. The girl grins, her eyes bright, and Clara feels tears prick her own. She's not just rebuilding a village. She's building a home, not in walls or wealth, but under a sky where people matter more than power. As the day fades, Clara stands at the edge of the village, looking out at the plains. The wind brushes her face, carrying the scent of earth and smoke. She thinks about her father, about the world she left behind, and feels a pang of loss. But then she hears the soft hum of a Comanche song behind her, a melody of strength and hope. It wraps around her like a blanket, warm and gentle, pulling her back to the moment. She turns and sees the people she's come to know, the woman who taught her the stars, the boy who smiled through his pain, the warriors who fought for their home. Kwevadis stands among them, his quiet strength a steady light in the dusk. Clara takes a deep breath, her tears falling now, not from sadness, but from something fuller, something whole. This journey started with fear, with capture, with a clash of worlds. But it ends here, in a place where she's learned to see, really see, the beauty in a life built on care, not conquest. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of gold and red, and Clara steps forward, joining the circle around the fire. She's home, not in the land she was born to, but in the one that claimed her heart, where every scar tells a story, and every song promises tomorrow.